I'm gonna go this way first because the sun is setting, and then I'm gonna hit, no, I'm gonna hit that way first before I lose the light for the city, and then I'm gonna hit it that way. Kind of take it out of my hand here.
Home point updated.
I'm a little bit too much for you. Maybe you're not man enough.
Hey everyone, how y'all doing? I honestly don't know where I left off with this vlog. It is the 3rd week and I posted 3 vlogs. Oh no, it's the 4th week and I've posted 3 vlogs. As a filmmaker who also posts across social media, there's this like sort of expectation, right, that I put on myself, like, oh, I gotta deliver for them or my audience. I don't wanna like disappoint them. And then there's another side of me where it's just like, I'm gonna do me, and then whoever is flowing with me will be there rocking with me regardless. And I think what's more important for me at the end of the day is my well-being. So still putting this as a priority has been something that I've been kind of questioning, like, okay, what value am I bringing to my audience with this type of content? So just taking a step back a little bit and wanting to bring value. So whether this is for entertainment purposes, I really just want you guys to take something away from my videos. So I want this vlog, quote, to be more of a educational thing where you are learning something and you could take something from it and apply it to your own videos. And the past few ones have been just for fun, kind of super excited to show you guys like this new chapter in my life and updating the space and stuff like that. Like y'all are getting an update for sure.
I wanna be the life of the party. I wanna dance with somebody.
This past week, I've been doing some thinking on my own creative process. And for somebody who does not just content creating, but who is a filmmaker who collaborates with other filmmakers to create films, documentaries, collaborates with artists to do music videos and short films, whatever it may be, the root of everything that I do is because I want to inspire other people. If you've been overwhelmed by the amount of cinematic vlogs that you've been seeing all across social media, don't worry. I know how it feels like to look at a lot of these videos and get caught up in that without really realizing that your life is your story. Create it. And I know damn well whatever it is that you do is a damn good story. So don't knock it. When I'm out filming, I'm literally like setting up the camera. Oh man, okay, just making sure my audio, I don't know if it's okay or not. Let me double check really quickly because it was a little loud earlier, but we'll see. This is what it takes to get the shot when you're by yourself. I set up my camera, I'm gonna get in my car, I'm gonna reverse it, and I'm gonna drive back. Maybe capturing a few angles, a wide shot, a medium shot, a close-up, whatever it may be, just to be able to cut to a few things. Or it could simply just be a wide shot of me doing whatever it is that I'm doing and then cutting it differently. The key is that you could find the story in the edit. Try not to get overwhelmed with what it is that you need to film. And honestly, that's where I've been at this past week. Sometimes I just kind of want to be. And it doesn't matter what it is that I capture. I'm going to capture what I can, when I feel like it. And then find my story in the edit with whatever it is that I captured. It's so easy for us to get overwhelmed in the process of filming when we need to take a step back and just have fun with it. There's no right or wrong answer on how a video needs to be, how we need to record it, how it needs to be angled or framed up, whatever it is. Like, do you, because it is your life and it is your story. So however it excites you, do it.
So casually keep diving into concrete, so bittersweet.
Alrighty, as I build this, I just want to talk about like what, wait, am I doing this right? Instructions, what's in. Dude, I think the thing about being a creator, right, especially with you know, social media being the new thing, it could get overwhelming because you then question your own content. If it's good enough, then you question your style. So I've had to check myself a little bit sometimes where I'm just like, I gotta stay true and authentic to my work and why I even started in the first place. I've been doing content for, I think, a little over 2 years now. So just before it really started getting popping on social media, there's a lot of new talent coming to light, and it's amazing to see what you guys do. Like, it is so crazy, and I love it. And can't help it as humans to just have that little bit of imposter syndrome kicking in. And I always kind of ask myself sometimes when it comes up, like, where is that coming from? And is it because I'm not doing enough of what I want to do, and I'm doing a lot of other things for other people or other brands? So that's why I like to do at least 1 or 2 for me a month. That way I'm really filling up my own cup and I could show up fully for the other projects. Because it could be a little bit draining sometimes, not giving myself the space to create what I want to create fully without any restrictions. It comes from a place of not feeling like I'm doing enough. And I've checked myself about it because those are all little opportunities for me to really reflect on all the things that I've done and all the accomplishments that I've done, because then I create this friction and overwhelming feeling within that's so unnecessary, but necessary for me to feel, because that's how I continue growing. Like, all these feelings that I feel or that we feel are so necessary for growth. And that's always my goal, is to kind of learn more about me and to continue loving myself, to do things that really spark my soul. Because this past week, I'm not even gonna lie, like, I've been tired. And I don't think I've given myself the opportunity to sit in just solitude without a camera, you know what I'm saying? And I had a moment yesterday where the camera was on, and I was sitting in my living room, I think even for the first time, and just realizing, like, oh damn, I never really just sat here and taken it all in. Whoa, I just had a moment. I haven't really sat here and taken it all in yet, so I kind of want to do that. Oh my God, it's so quiet, I love it.
Oh, baby, don't cry, 'cause there's always a tomorrow.
Let's talk about some filming tips. First and foremost, frame within a frame. I've talked about this in the past videos, but you see how I've centered myself in the frame. I have some chairs in the foreground, and then I have this architecture here in the kitchen framing me up. So what that does is it helps lead the audience's eyes towards your subject or yourself without them even really realizing it sometimes. Or honestly, you could keep your camera just static like this and then do your thing. But it's cool if you capture a wide shot, a medium shot, and a close-up. Just to have fun in post-production when you're editing it. Okay, so now y'all will see that I'm gonna switch the camera angle. I wanna get a, very risky, I'm gonna put my camera on the actual pool table. Bruh. Oh my God, I missed again. Bruh. And I'm gonna get an even closer shot after this. Okay, all right, y'all see that? Now, I'm actually gonna put my camera like to get an angle of me. For a lot of my vlogs, especially for videos like this, I'm kind of just freestyling it. It's not necessarily scripted, or I don't have a shot list, because that allows me to just have fun with the video and just figure it out on the fly. Sometimes my best work comes out of that when I don't have to overthink about the shot that I need to get or this and that, and like stress it out and the expectation of what it needs to be. So just to purely have fun, and I think that's why I was starting to do these vlogs, so I could just have fun with it. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and like try to make it here. Unless I fake it. 2, 1. Now, I do this all the time with my shots. I'll stick my camera in places that you don't really stick your camera in, like the refrigerator, because it gives this dope little POV if the refrigerator had anything in it. You know what I'm saying? It's just, where else can we put you? Let's see. You could even put yourself in something that moves like this. So that's a dope shot as well. I need to raise the bar. So now that we got some angle tips, which there's way more, right? Wide shot, medium shot, close up, low angle, high angle, POV, you know, there's so many things. Maybe I could get it to roll, then I track it. Really no wrong or right answer on how to film anything. And I know it could get overwhelming with what we see all across social media because so many people are so good at it. So the more you practice, the more you'll get better. So go out, have fun. Don't limit yourself because sky is the limit. Your creativity, your story, make it count.
Don't wanna be a one-man woman. Got me stranded like a boat in the sand.
Okay, y'all, let's talk about gear. Now, I usually say that you don't need the most expensive, fanciest camera to achieve these types of videos because phones nowadays could do just as good. But here are 3 to 4 suggestions for pieces of gear that are worth investing in. And this is very important if you want very crisp audio. Wait, am I getting audio? A lot of microphones nowadays are really good quality. So there are a few that are bang for your buck. The one that I always use is the Rode Wireless Pro. It comes with 2 receivers and 1 transmitter in a charging case. Now, a tripod. I would highly suggest, if you are gonna be bringing your tripod everywhere, that you invest in a carbon fiber tripod. Lastly, but not lastly, is an ND filter. Okay, whether you are filming with your phone or a camera, you want to be able to control your settings manually, especially your exposure. So what an ND filter does, which is a neutral density filter, is it acts as sunglasses for your lenses, allowing you to keep your settings where it should be at, like your aperture, if you want low aperture, a camera, or of course your phone, audio tripod for stability, and ND filter. Okay, now I get a lot of questions on how I edit my videos. In this part, I'm gonna spit some overall tips, so if you do want some in-depth tutorial or me to break something down, then comment down below and I'll do the best I can. But I think for this video overall, I just want to show you some raw and real ways of how I capture my content and how I think on the fly, because that allows me to have fun and also train my brain to think on the spot creatively. Now, I always say to find the story in post-production. What I mean by that is there's so many layers that you could add to really grab something so simple and finesse it in post-production. Like you could add music, depending on the type of music that you're going for, it really sets the overall tone of the video or the section of your video. So just play around with that. There's also graphics, music, sound effects, etc., etc. But before we get into the layers of my timeline, I want to talk about how important organization is when you are starting a project. So even before we get into Premiere, as you can see, I'll set up all my folders with this. It's 01 footage, 02 project files, 03 assets, 04 exports. Because what I do is I take this and I do the same exact thing when I open up and set up my project file. And also another tip is to back up your footage, y'all. You just never know. Google Drive, Dropbox, on another hard drive or SSD, whatever it is. I'm gonna go into my project file, and as you can see, I set up my project file pretty similarly. I just create bins for my footage, for my music, for my sound effects, for my templates, sequences especially, because I think it's really important to stay organized, especially with a big project or even a small project, because it saves you time when looking for something or stressing off of something because it's so messy. It just eases your mind as you're already sometimes stressing out about editing. As you guys can see my timeline, it is V1 YouTube. It's really important to name your sequences based on what you feel like you're comfortable with. But if you are working with other people, it is important to name it according to the project. So I like to create a bin for my sequences. As I click in here, you see my sequence here, my V1 YouTube. And I always like to duplicate my sequence if I'm making major changes, because you could only Command Z so much. So it's always good to duplicate it. And then put V2. Say for this one, I took out a whole section and then I actually deleted that, but in case down the road, say I wanted to bring it back, then I have V1 in case. So that's why I like to duplicate my sequences. Now I'm gonna go ahead and expand my timeline here and show you guys what each layer typically is. So I always kind of have more than 3 to 4 audio tracks. 1 to 4 of them is for music. I like to use the stems for music, and that's just me, because sometimes I like to add the vocals in when I'm not talking, because that does add some type of emotion in the video. If you guys notice throughout my videos, there's some vocals and then it fades out and then I just have the instrumental. So a lot of these here that you see are my music tracks. And the way you could see it broken up is it is in only certain sections. Personally, I don't like music throughout the entire video, because I like to just let what I'm saying breathe. And then when I think it is appropriate, especially when there's breakers, like if I'm going into the next chapter of my video, right, then I'll go ahead and bring the vocals and the music in. So I have my main video 1 timeline here, which is a lot of my talking heads. And then as you can see on video 2, over here on these ones, it's a lot of B-roll. I have my V4 and my V5 here, which are my adjustment layers for color grading. So I already had created my own LUTs, but each clip is always exposed differently. So I have my main LUT that I've created on V4 here, and on V5 I just make the small adjustments per clip. As you can see, I color coordinated it. That's something else that I do as well, is color coordinating not just my adjustment layers, but also my music tracks, my sound effects, so I know what's what. As you could see, I also add kind of breakers in between these chapters. So I'm always adding a title card, music, vocals, and then the little transition overlay. So this is what you see here. Okay, I'm gonna go through color grading very briefly here. The shadows, midtones, and highlights, so you could see what it does to your picture. Because once you start to understand what the shadows do versus what the contrast does versus highlights and midtones, then you'll start to know how to manipulate your image on how you really want it to look. Basically, in color theory, the main difference between the contrast and the shadows is that shadows are just the darkest parts of the image, while contrast is the range of brightness from lightest to darkest. So as you can see, if I'm messing with the shadows, it only affects the darkest areas of an image, right? And the shadows are usually black, but can be other colors when light bounces around the objects or the subjects. And then with contrast, it also makes the image brighter, as you could see, instead of darkening the entire image. So an image with high contrast has very bright highlights and then very dark shadows. So I like to finesse the contrast and then bring down the highlights a little bit so it's not so blasted behind me. In the curves, if you want to pinpoint a certain thing in the image, like say this orange here, hue versus saturation, what that is that it makes the color of, well, I look like Oompa Loompa, but just for example, right, it makes that color that you have selected more vibrant. Versus hue versus hue, say I'm gonna pick the same color, it changes the color of that tone. This is how you could create your own LUT and finesse your image, is messing with the color wheels, curves, basic corrections, shadows, midtones, highlights. It was years ago when I realized that color grading your footage really adds a level of emotion, or a level of like, this is how I want my video to look and feel, like the tone of your overall video, right? When I first started, I actually grabbed free LUTs, or I used the LUTs that were in Premiere already, and then I messed with it myself. And that's how I really learned what midtones, highlights, and shadows did, because the more you practice, the more you get better and the more you understand and gain the knowledge. I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning into this video, and I hope that you have taken something away so you can apply it to any of the videos that you want to create. Remember, have fun with what you're doing. Try not to stress about it. I know it's human nature for us to stress about some things and get overwhelmed. I feel it. I'm there. I've been there. But the more we allow ourselves to feel it and kind of move through the funk of the things that happen, yeah, the more we have fun with it. But keep doing you. Do things that make you happy, that excite you, and continue being great. Go out and create and have fun doing it. I'll see y'all at the next video. Peace.